So, yesterday was an interesting stream. Went a bit ham on the Atlas from Solo Selffound point of view, and I know there's some people who want to see this, I guess. So I'm making a recap of yesterday. It took like, I don't know, 4 hours to figure out everything. And I think this is as good as we can get without getting any more information. Oh, let's get some music for you guys. Random background music. There we go. So, before you start spamming that, they can change yada yada yada. So, obviously, that's the case. But all of this, which I'm gonna explain in a second, is based on the premise that there's no changes on how, obtaining maps. There's no changes to that, right? So you will still be able to get maps from 3 to 1 recipe, and that adjacent maps like this T7 is connected to these two T8s, so you can find these two T8s by running this map. And then there's Sana, of course, and like Sana missions. But yeah, okay, so there's a lot of random shit here. So let's start first with the like what tier maps are. So you have this like big yellow circle here. So everything outside of this yellow circle is a white map. So T1 to T5. And everything inside the yellow circle, but outside the red circle, big red circle, are yellow maps. So T6 to T10. And then everything inside the red is a red map, so T11 plus. Oh yeah, and Elder and Shaper possession of maps should not affect, based on what we know so far, they should not affect how you actually progress the Atlas. So they're just like an extra to it. So I'm not going over that at all in this. Also, you see there's no names on the maps. I think it's irrelevant when it comes to progressing the Atlas. I'm sure there's gonna be some maps are gonna be better than others, and yada yada yada. And you might know that this map is probably a cavern, and then 2 of these are shit maps too. But it doesn't matter when it comes to the progression. Like what we need to know about that. So next up, we have these like maps that are inside this red. I don't know what to call this. It's not rectangle. It's not square. It's not anything like that. But basically, inside these red areas, like you have these here, and then you have a couple here and here, they have at least one map that you can't get from a 3 to 1 recipe. In this case, it's 2, because there's only one tier 2 map for 3 different tier 3s. So 3 to 1 recipe only gives you 1, right? And you can't shape a map into a T2. So you can't obtain either of these from that anyways, right? Then we get this orange. That is basically the same as this, except it's not confirmed, and it's just very likely. And I'll explain why I feel it's very likely. So here you have 2 different tier 5s. I guess I could zoom a bit. Also, yeah, there's like one of the maps is circle here, and that means that that's the least likely to get from the recipe. So my guess is that if one of these T5s is not obtainable from 3 to 1 recipe, it's this one. And the reason for that is this map is connected to 2 other T6s, and you already get this T6 from this T5. So this already confirms to go down here. However, this T6 is connected to 2 different T5s. This one and this one. So if one of these is not obtainable from the recipe, it's likely this, because this is just like an extra map inside the Atlas that doesn't look like it's necessary in any way or form. Because you see this T6 is connected to just a unique map, and a T7 that already has a connection from here. So it's not like it's absolutely mandatory to get it in order to progress your atlas. So that's what this orange is. I have another one here. Here. The reason for that is like, so there's oops. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tier 5 maps connected to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T6s. So you could say, oh, there's one map for like one map, 3 to 1 to the other. But when you look at Atlas currently, we have multiple of cases where you have 2 maps, like 2 maps of a minus level. For example, you have cells, which is T7. Ashen would normally is a T7. So 2 T7s, and then you have 2 T8s. But both of these give you Arachnic Nest. Then we have Canyon and Walled City. Both of these give you Catacombs, even though kind of would make sense that Walled City would give you Arachnic Tomb. And then we have Shore and Tropical Island, which are T8s. Then this is T9 and this is T9. However, both of them give you this. So there's probably some other example somewhere, but can't remember it right now. I don't want this to be like 1 hour video anyway, so... Oh yeah, I'll link this picture, of course, on the description. So, when you look at these 3 maps, you can kind of like leeway that you can't get like... This is a quantity to get from this T5, so I excluded it. Same with this. This will give you this T6. So you have this T5 map that is connected to 3 different T6s, and then you have this that is connected to 2, and this that is connected to 2. So, because there's 2 that are connected to this one, I'm kind of leaning towards that you will get this. Also because if you don't get this, then that's 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 maps that you will miss if you don't get this from 3 to 1 recipe. So I'm kind of doubting them to do that. The biggest like number of maps you will miss right now in the Atlas, if that would be the case, is 3. You have, if you don't obtain bit from Acid Lakes, then you won't get race cores or cells. So that's like a chain of 3 maps from 3 to 1 recipe that you wouldn't get. There's multiple like singular maps like Ramparts and Thicket. There's Spider Lair, which is connected to Academy, so that's like 2. But there's not a single one that is more than 3, so that's why I don't think this is the case. Then you look at these 2. I think this is the most likely because it's connected to a T7, which has a Shaper Orb. But it's either of these, in my opinion, because well, both of these are connected to this T7, and then both of the 7s are to 8. So you will at most lose 2 maps. And I kind of feel like they try to make it harder to obtain the Shaper Orbs. You will see it later soon as well in a couple other places. So I think it's gonna be this T6, which is then connected to this T7, so you would lose those 2. Right. Then we have another one. We have a green here. That is, at least 1 map is not obtainable through normal 3-1 recipe. However, there's a chance that shaped 3-1 recipe might give you the map. And then there's a circled map that is the least likely to be obtained. So, an example here. This T7 map is the only T7 connected to 2 different T8s. There's a T8 that is connected to 2 different T9s, and it's been the only T8, right? So this can only give you 1 of these maps from normal recipe. But then you could potentially shape this into a T7, and then it gives you the remaining. And as some of you already know, there's this map called Bog that everyone hates who plays Solo Selffound, which is kinda exactly like this situation here, right? So Castle Ruins trades into 3 cemeteries. Then like, oh, Well, shape Oasis should give you bog, but no, it also gives you cemetery. So that's why it's not guaranteed to give. So it's just likely. And then you have like this, like lime, green, yellow, whatever color map. I think this is the more likely to be obtained from 3-1 recipe. But you know, this is the least likely. And then you have the connection lines, which is a guaranteed maps that get affected if you don't get the map. So if we get this map from 3-1 from this, these two maps will get affected. And the reason for that is this map T9 already gets from here, so I don't want to do it there. But then this T9 is connected to two different T10s with no other T8 connection. So these two would get affected if you don't get it. Same way, if you don't get this, well then you won't get this T9 or the unique map connection here, right? The reason why I didn't connect this T10 is because there's a T10 here, which you didn't see, that most likely goes here. There's T9 that most likely goes here, and then I'm taking a wild guess that this T9 also gives you this. Or has a... If no other way, then probably like a T5. There's like... Either of these would probably give you the remaining T10. Obviously, both of these T9s could go to this T10, and you would just not get this. That's obviously a chance. Then we have the purple here. So this is again... red and green are confirmed. The orange here is likely, and the purple here is likely. So likely one map not obtainable through normal 3-1 recipe. Shaped might be, and then so basically this is the exact same as the green, except this is not a guaranteed, and it's just a chance. And I think it's a likely chance, and I'll explain it in a second. So the only purple area is here. So you have two different T8s connected to two different T9s. However, there's also another two T8s for two other T9s. So this guarantees you this one. This guarantees you this one. This has a chance for either of these, and then this has a chance for either of these. I would say that this is the likely to get, because it guarantees you this T10. I'm sure this would also, but this is also connected to the unique map. So when I'm like going the most pessimistic way right here, like the least optimal way, or like the optimistic, sorry. So that I'm believing that UGG is trying to make it as hard as possible to get the shaper orbs and like unique maps. Obviously this might not be the case, but I'm looking at from the worst possible scenario. So that's why I'm like guessing that this T8 actually gives you this T9, and then this T8 gives you this T9, and you would lose this T9 and the unique map connection there. Obviously this is not a confirmed, but I think it's a likely. So the difference between a purple and orange here is that there's a chance, or I would say it's very likely, that you can get the other map from a shaped 3-1 recipe. While a T6, which is the orange, right? And then you have this is like orange as well, because you cannot shape a map into making a 3-1 recipe for this. Or D-shape. We don't have an orb like that, right? So you cannot shape a map into a T5, because the lowest orb we have for shaper orb is a T6 orb, or T1 orb, which means you can shape T1 into T6, right? So the T7 map is the first you can get like that. Then we have this blue circle, which indicates the shaper orb. So this is a T1 shaper orb. This is a T2. This is a T3, T4, T5, T6, T7. Then we have two T8 orbs, one here, one here. Then we have three, this one, and this one, which are gonna be T9. This is a T12 map, but it's a unique map, dead and access. which right now gives you the 9 orb, which I also believe this is gonna be it as well. And then we have 3 T10 orbs, 2 T15 maps, and then the wall temple. What I really like about the shaper orbs in 3.1 is that there's only one unique map, and then there's the wall temple. While right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 unique maps for shaper orbs, and then the wall temple, of course. So from the point of view of getting the shaper orbs in Solo Selffound, it should be a lot easier, because most of the maps don't require you to get RNG and actually find it as a unique map, like a unique drop. So we have the exact same amount of shaper orbs, which is 15, just like in 3.0. I'm kind of sad about that, but what you gonna do? Getting 32 maps, but no new... like they're not extending the amount of maps we can shape. It's a bit sad. So let's go quickly the tiers. So when you start with Atlas, you have to run this T1 and this T1 before you unlock / complete any other T2s. Because it's connected to 2 different T2s, right? Same with this. So you have to find... we don't know yet which one trades into which, of course. So you have to find 2 maps that are quote-unquote hard to obtain. My guess, this is the hard to obtain here, because it's connected to 3 different T3s. And here doesn't really matter. But if I had to take a guess, I would say it's this T2, because it's connected to a map chain that gives you a unique map. Again, just a guess. And you can, of course, find both of these T4s from this T3. So that's kind of why I'm thinking about them giving the leeway here. So, once you obtain the 3 T2s here, obviously you're running these T1s as well, because you can, and you want the T2s. Then we get into a... I don't even want to think about it. We get into like a stage where you're gonna lose your mind. So you have to farm this T2 map. Guess I should do this. All the way until you find 2 very specific maps here. Like this will trade into one of them. So let's say it just trades into this one, for the sake of example. So you have 2 in 3 chance to find the... Whenever you find a map, like +1 map, when you don't have any of them yet, you have 2 in 3 chance to find the one of the harder, and then after you find that, then it's in 1 in 3. From past experience, when there was only 2 maps that you needed to find, or like 1 map that you needed to find from 2 maps, there's been as bad luck as finding the easy map, or the map that you trade into, like 10 times before finding the last one. So this might be... yeah. And while you're searching for that map, you should also be farming this map. Like you say, oh, there's only 1 map instead of 2 maps. However, this T2 that connects to these 2, and this one, so it's 1 in 3 to find the remaining maps, right? So it ends up being as hard to get the last map here as it's in the other side, like the top left corner. So this is just like a GG pissing our face, quote unquote, right? So, and not only that, after you get all of these 3 TTs there and up here, then we have the pleasure of farming this T2 for 1 in like 50-50 chance on finding the other T3 here. So I have here, okay, so we go from 4 T1s into 6 T2s, so you have to find 2, into +4 for the next tier. So you have to find a total of 4 maps just from running those, or buying from Zana, or finding from Zana mission, of course. And so the jump from T2 to T3 will be painful. And now you can see like, oh, from T3 into T4 there's no extra maps, there's no new maps, right? Same way from T4 to T... Oh yeah, this is like these are unique maps. Like the one in the top corner, and then we have this one here. It's connected to Perandus Manor. I don't know if having this map unlocked in your Atlas actually makes it possible to drop this, because there's the same case for Vinctar Square. Here, somewhere, here. But you only get Vinctar Square from the recipe, right? The 4 staves, so I don't know about that. So the next case, after you get to the 3, like past the T3s, and assuming you don't have any issues here, the next case will be T6s. Well, there's the likely chance here, in my opinion, but then we have a confirmed map that you will not get, and it's one of these 4. It's this one, this one, this one, or this one. My guess, it's either this one that has this first Shaper Orb, or this T6. If it's this T6, it has the least effect on your Atlas, because this T6 trades into this T7 just like this does. So it's literally just an extra map. This map has a Shaper Orb, and it's connected to a unique map, and it's connected to a map that has a unique map on it. So my guess it's gonna be this one, just because, you know, we're looking at the worst case scenario where they want to make it as hard as possible, right? Hopefully that's not the case. So one of these, oh yeah, it could be this one too. So let's say that both of these T5s give you this T6, and this T5 gives you this T6. So it could be this as well. Obviously this is guaranteed, because this T5 is connected to only that T6, but all the others have a chance of not being it. And after that, the guaranteed maps that you have the farm for, like the guaranteed maps that won't get from 3 to 1 recipe, are, you know, the green maps here, which is the T7 here, right? So the T7 map here, one of these, is not obtainable from normal 3 to 1 recipe. So this trades only into one of these. So the other T7 has to be either found, again Zana, or shaping this T1 into a T6 and hoping that it gives you the remaining one. In the case of not getting this one, which I think is the most likely, because it's connected to a T8 that has a unique map, and then this goes into 2 different sections, right? So I think this is the most likely. I guess there should be a line here as well, because it's connected to that. I guess we should do the same size as well. Okay, there we go. And in the case you don't get this one, well then this T8 will be affected. I don't, like, I could make more lines. For example, I could make a line from here to here, because it's connected to it. However, there's a chance that this T8 trades into this, so it's not a guaranteed. So these lines are only guaranteed, like maps that get affected. So in this case it's only 1, and here it's 2. Then the next tier is here, from T7 to T8. So we have this T7 connected to T different 8. We already went through this, right? So shape this into T7 and pray that you get the other one. Then the next is from T8 to T9. So you have a map that is connected to 2 different T9s that have no other T8 connections. You could argue that this T9 could give you this T9, but there is not a single occasion in the Atlas right now where a map trades into the same tier map if it has a chance to go into a +1. So this is connected to a T9, Team 10 map, right? So this is where I'd say it's 100% sure that this, okay, 99, that this goes into this one, and this goes into this one. So let's take here. Somebody's gonna say it, so I'm just gonna cover it up anyways. So this orchard is a T9. It's connected to a temple, so it gives you the same tier, same way you have atoll, pier giving you atoll, even though it's the same tier. But neither of these have a connected map of a +1 tier. In this case, it doesn't have even, it only goes -1. But it makes absolutely no sense that 3-1 pier would give you a minus map. Now, you could argue that this, like both of these should give you a +1, because, you know, this skips a map and it gives you like this map here. But I think that their own reason for that is because the next map is a -1. So if this was a T8, it would just give you that map. I think there isn't any other. I think these are the only two maps that give you the same tier. And that's only because they are not connected to a +1. So that's covered. So why I think this is the more likely to not be obtained from the normal recipe is it's only connected to 2 different T10s, and this T10 is already guaranteed to get from this T9. So you're guaranteed to not get 2 maps from the normal 3-1 recipe if you don't get this one. This T11 might get affected, same with this T12 and this T13 in the case where this 10 goes 11 into 12 into 13 here. So you could potentially have more lines here, but it's not guaranteed, so I didn't want to include it. And in this case, why I think it's more likely that you will get this map from 3 of these is it has more like forced connections, right? It goes into +1 into another +1 into another +1. But I didn't want to include this because, you know, this could give you that. So it's guaranteed 5 maps get affected if you don't get it. So I don't think that's going to be the case. Or you could say 3 if you want to exclude the uniques. But I think it's very unlikely that you don't get this, while this is just like a couple maps. And then the next one, we go from T9 to 10. It's funny, there's T6 to T7, there's T7 to 8, there's 8 to 9, then there's 9 to 10, and we also have a 10 to 11 here as well, which I'm going to get in a second. So we have 2 T9s connected to 3 different T10s. So it's a guaranteed that 3-1 normal 3-1 recipe won't give you one of them. Obviously, there's 2 T5s that when you shape could give you it, but my guess is this T5 goes straight up into this one. So we only have one T5 here that we can shape, and it either gives you this one or this one. My guess that the normal 3-1 of this map doesn't give you this one because there's a shape orb, like previously we've gone through like the worst case scenarios, and then it's only connected to one normal map with one unique next to it. Right, you could also make a line bit into this 12 into this 13, but like you see the color here, I'm expecting that you get this T11, and then most likely you will get this then. So yeah, if you don't get this one, well then this T11 gets affected. If you don't get this, then this T11 gets affected, right? The reason why I think this is the most likely to get from this is then this is the only T9 connected to this, so my guess is they wouldn't do 2 of them. So there's a chance that this goes into this and this goes into this, which would make it only 2 of these maps get affected. But I'm expecting them to not allow you to get these maps. Kind of like we right now have a colonnade here, right? I mean, promenade gives you a colonnade. However, getting to promenade can be a bit difficult because it's behind barrows from 3-1 recipe, but you cannot get barrows from normal 3-1 recipe at all. So if you want to get to colonnade, you kind of either have to get lucky from finding it from terrace, or you somehow get into museum that gives you a promenade that then turns into colonnade. So that's why I'm expecting you to not get this. And then finally, we have this T10 as the only connection for these two T11s, right? The reason why I think you don't get this is, despite it being a total of 4 maps, one of them is a T8 Shaper Orb. And it's not like a necessary in order to get into the middle of the Atlas, because you have this 11 has to go to this, which has to go to this, which has to go to this, right? And then there's a chance, there's a very slim chance, already explained why, that this would give you this T14, so that's why I included it. So I'm expecting this to give you that map. So you could make a line hero as well from this 14 to 15, but I didn't want to include it. Because, you know, if you're running this map, you're most likely not going to be doing 3-1 recipe to get this first. If you're doing the whole completion thing here. And if you, for some reason, you don't get this map, well, then this 12 and this would most likely get affected. I guess I should do the lines here. But I'm totally expecting you to get this map. And then, assuming you get this map, or in the case that you get it, I'm expecting this map to trade into this 12. Because this is not necessary route, because this 13 most likely give you to this 14 again for the same reasons as this will give you this 15. And then it doesn't like block you from progressing. So, and this is literally just a T12 connected to another 13 and a unique map that has a Shaper Orb. So that's why I think if you get this map, this trades into this one instead of this. So I think that's the pretty much it. There's a couple occasions where you could have the purple area in some of these, for example, these two or these two. But I don't think it's as likely as this is. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Huh. Only 31 minutes. I was expecting this to be a lot longer. Yeah.